Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. I just came from Binghamton, New York. But where did you just come from, Dave?
I just flew in from Hawaii at 6 o'clock this morning, and then I took a little bit of a nap, and now we are ready to talk about the U.S. International Figure Skating Classic, the Junior Grand Prix in Poland, in Gdansk, and the Ondrej Nepela Memorial Trophy, and annoying people on Twitter, outrage, things like that, and I just have
Lead us in with your Zen, Dave. You want to tell us about your trip first?
Sure, I put on my, beads to, feel yoga-centered. I have my chakra ankle bracelet on. Jonathan, I caught up on the skating. I just got, various texts, none of which...
So much this week. These are intensive.
I didn't even, I haven't even read, but I'm not surprised because nothing surprises me anymore. Jonathan.
Yeah.
There's a figure of speech that the yogis use. And it is often, you think about it, and it seems nice, but it's not so nice.
Okay.
Take what you need and leave the rest, Jonathan.
They say that, in Al-Anon and stuff like that, too. It's take what works, leave the rest. I love that.
So about figure skating and the fandom, take what you need and leave the rest. Which means, Jonathan, turn off Twitter and let those people have each other. They all deserve. They can all be offended. They can all one up each other. They can all message me about the fans are glamorizing anorexia of certain people that we've never met before. We don't know anything. Jonathan, let them have each other.
And it's a good point. And this mantra does actually apply to this. I didn't know you were going to bring this up, but it's a thing because we have received messages from some fans that I find extremely insightful and interesting. And others, I'm just you are out of left field. This is not my battle. I don't know what you're talking about.
There are a lot that message us. Let's start with this. So Tessa and Scott announced it sounded, okay, it's a vague video. We have to bring it up. They announced retirement. However, they started tours because they wanted to have their own tours and not just Stars on Ice, right? I think it is possible that they are not really retired from show skating, but that this video where they say they're stepping away from sport was written vague enough so that this can be the Cher farewell tour and they can
I was just going to say, it sounds like Cher, yeah.
And the reason I feel that they had to do this, their ticket sales weren't doing great after, they don't have the momentum of the Olympic gold anymore from the same... And then the Canadian and the fandoms acted so crazy, even though they've been told for years over and over and over and over and over again that Tessa and Scott aren't a couple by they themselves. It broke the magic in their minds. They all freaked out. So now you give them the feeling of scarcity that this is Tessa and Scott's last rodeo, and everyone is buying their tickets again to see it. And it can just be you can be we appreciated your love for us so much.
That you've inspired us. Okay.
You've inspired us to keep performing for you.
Which wouldn't be a bad marketing plan.
No. Do I really think that we are never going to see them on the ice again after this year? Are you kidding me? They are going to get each other back in shape in 5 years if the money is right. Are you kidding me? Come on. Slow your roll. It's a great marketing thing. PJ Kwong, I think, was on radio in Canada 20 times in a day. I saw that it was written down, at least 10. Amazing. Okay. Amazing marketing. But I really think that this is a response to how insane and inappropriate the people were about his engagement and stalking the fiance. And it comes from a place of wanting to be protective of skaters that they love, but it crosses a line where it's an overly emotional... Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when Taylor Swift was attacked by Kim, and you're both of these billionaires are effing fine, right?
Yeah,
don't cry for her,
doing
okay?
Yeah,
she's doing just fine, okay? I tried to get through her Rolling Stone interview where she was, it was whining about the year. I'm you don't have real problems. tunes, okay? You have more money, not that much vocal talent, good songwriting talent, but not that much talent. You don't need to be a star. Like, it's just, you've been blessed. Jonathan, I was in Hawaii for a week, away from Twitter, away from skating people. Didn't miss it. Didn't give a shit. Okay?
I know, and it's one of those...
Love the skating. Love the skating. Love the sense of community, but the
I love productive conversation about it.
Yes.
Like, I love talking out different opinions.
I like talking with you, Jonathan. Yes.
I like talking with you, Dave. But it is like, oh, did you like that? Tell me why. I didn't really get it. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
But when it's so steeped in some sort of personal thing, I just don't understand it anymore.
So you got a lot of messages about the violin thing. So Graham, who's a violinist, was like out pretentiousing you, and it was a cute thing. But then you actually
It was cute. It was adorable, and mainly the whole. I mean, that was just a joke.
And it was tongue in cheek when you said it, but apparently you got vitriol about singing in a church choir.
Yeah, all these things, and then they like went for me, and I thought, oh my gosh, if your self-worth lays in someone else's opinion of an athlete you like, I don't really understand, you know? So
there was an inherent cheese to him playing the violin. It wasn't high art, okay? It was camp. Plushenko is camp. So much of skating is camp. It's just
skating is camp. That's part of why we love it.
Anyway, if you're new here, subscribe below because we're going to talk about these things and smash that like button. All right, but let's start with all of the things. Let's start with the first outrage, Jonathan.
Where to begin? Which one was the first one?
I want to talk about Satoko Miyahara's Schindler's List. Okay, so I've gotten wind that people are upset. I don't know who tweeted what, to whom. Frankly, I don't care. And I really believe that there is a back and forth because Alverbuch programs over the year have been criticized. The latest program by Schindler's List by Navka, or one of the more recent Schindler's List programs, because there are so many, by Navka got heat, and it was like a mini viral video with USA Today.
This was the television.
Yes.
Yeah, where they were actually in the concentration camp. I don't want to say uniforms. That's not the right word, but
what prisoner uniforms? Yeah, So the striped attire and makeup on the faces looking sort of dirty, and so there's a fine line, right, with all of these pieces, and I think that fans like to be. They're like, well, you attacked Medvedeva for 9/11, so why is it, why is one thing okay and one is not? But you always have to go back to intention, right? At the end of the day, people have 1,000,001 appearance. Schindler's List has been done 1,001 times in skating. It's only in 2019 that we're really hearing belly aching
backlash. Yeah,
it's a little bit unusual that someone from Japan is doing a Schindler's List program. Are the fans upset that Japan was on the side of Germany in the war? Satoko is also much younger, never was alive at the time. However, when you watch the program, it's a sensitive, tender, passionate, heartfelt, really statement about human suffering, what humans can do to one another, about humanity. There is nothing in that program that is exploitative, that is cheap, that is just for points, thrills, gimmicks. Yeah. There's nothing in there. It is thought out, tender, from the heart. And that is very different to me than waving goodbye to someone at work, having cattle call, jeers and screaming during a step work sequence. But
in your defense, Dave, when you were talking about that 9/11 program, I didn't think that you were mortally offended and thought it was the most inappropriate thing. You just thought it was a strange choice.
I thought it was cheap and tacky. It was more of a strange
choice. And yes, tacky versus
But I think in general...
violating.
But I blamed it on Alverbuch. And I think that in general, he uses...
he wants to be provocative. That's always
he wants to be provocative, but it doesn't come from a place of emotional honesty. There's a part of him that's trying to get attention grabbing because he's the one that did the Navka program, and I think that it's about evoking, being provocative and get, but it's not like from a real place of emotion. So that to me feels cheap.
Yeah, it's going for the shock value over the heartfelt message that I felt.
If you watched that program and you were offended by it, like, you know what? You may have like a real legitimate feeling, and I'm not defending your. I don't feel offended personally. I'm one of those people. I've visited concentration camps. I'm not Jewish. However, Jonathan, our asses would have been thrown in a concentration camp if we were in Germany.
Yeah, I got news for you. The artsy gays were in there too. I mean, there was
also Polish. We would have been thrown in for that, being thrown in for being gay. Like, you know, there are many groups. Obviously, the Jewish community, obviously the most persecuted in. Also, Chinese people, very persecuted in World War II. There's so much. I get it. There's so many wars. There are so many different things. This kind of thing has always been a topic of discussion in skating. Bottom line, I thought that Satoko's program was beautiful. I thought Lori did a great job. Used different music cuts and a lot of the piano that we don't hear a lot. Didn't just go for the cheap themes, even that are so beautifully done. She went for more of a piano theme, piano instrumentation of the piece. I thought that the program was so stunning. I wish that she jumped better.
It took its time, and each moment, each picture meant something to her. And we may not know exactly what each intention was behind it, but you knew there was intention. I don't know. There's like,
I'd love to learn. I'd love to hear Lori and Satoko speak about the program, right? And what each thing was. And not as a defense, as just like a behind the music, what we were thinking about, right?
So, because there's towards the end, especially when she goes into that lunge and then sort of like falls to the ice, and then the spiral, and then the spread eagle, and then the ending with the it was just,
you can feel it,
very emotional. Unfortunate that the jumps occasionally distract from the situation,
because I was so in the program. I was so in, but then especially when she goes for the toe jumps. And even her double axel looked bigger in the short than in the free. It looks like they're trying...
Yeah, it covered more distance, for sure, in the short, I thought.
So Satoko's now working with Lee Barkel, and I think it's an interesting choice.
I was kind of surprised by that choice.
I was too, and I don't know if that's because he's close in proximity. I forget which rink Lori is at. They may be near each other, certainly near each other in Toronto, or... within that amount of time, he likely has time. He's building a new school. He is someone that has very muscular skaters who tend to jump from their legs, like Megan, like she was with Lee Barkel for many years, Gabby Daleman, obviously. So I think that could help Satoko, and that could be a really smart choice. Also, we do know that Jeff Buttle came from there, and then he worked with Raphael on some of the harder triple quads, certainly. But I think Lee could help her. It's at a real dicey moment for her in her where she is in her career, and whether or not the jumps are going to be successful. But this program is certainly going to be a signature piece, I think. I think I love it. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's exactly what she needed to do.
What did you think about the short?
I don't love it.
I kind of went with it. I could see why it wasn't a total fit, and I like that she was trying something different. And she's still somehow beautiful and vulnerable in the beginning, even though it's a different vibe altogether. Mm-hmm. But again, she did it so well, and it was something different. As we know, like blah, 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 it's a broken record with IJS and all these points, that there's so much sameness, so many same spin variations, so many same footwork ideas. And just that it was something a little bit different than everyone else we've seen thus far this season, it pulled me in a totally different way, and I enjoyed it very much.
Did you notice that she was giving different spin combinations than we've seen from her in the past, and different spins? That she doesn't necessarily need to do, because by this many points we've seen Jason Brown do the same spins for year after year after year that he has perfected, and there's no reason to change. But in her development in the affect of the program, they are going for different... And
even with her hand variations, just those alone are enough to create an entirely different picture that I really enjoyed the short.
I think it helps reintroduce you to a skater that you've seen year and year and year and year and year. Again and again and again. I'm sorry, my brain is like so...
You're doing great, Dave.
The words are over the Pacific, all right? Year after year after year. But you're reintroducing it, so the judges may give it the high components that may lag a little bit over time because the jumps aren't as good. You still have a reason to be like, Yeah, but she's the best skater on the planet right now.
Yeah, I agree. The
best skater, right?
Yeah.
Not the best jumper, not the best athlete, but the best skater. But then the jumps are going to be a huge problem, and also they've kicked the can so far down the road with her jump technique that now, and they've tried to point the toe or do this and do that, but the jumps have always been very slight and very tiny, and it looks like she's perhaps slightly more muscular. I'm not sure. I know that she's been working on the triple axel, which
I don't know the point of that, but the triple Lutz in the
to make the double axel bigger, obviously,
I
right?
mean,
yes.
and she is getting
to
more
motivate,
ice coverage on. Yeah, but the triple Lutz I was encouraged by in the short, but then she kind of reverted back to more of what we know in the free.
Well, that's so hard because so many of these skaters, so many of the people that are drawn to these sports you either are kind of like the adrenaline junkie athlete, like a Megan, or you're like a sensitive artist, perhaps control freak, type A, where it's really hard to break your habits and to learn something new. And that's why it's so hard, and I think that's why coaches get so frustrated. Yeah, I'm sure.
Right.
I know myself, like, I know what I can do well, right? And to try to get you out of the box, to take those risks, to do a short program like Satoko, that is not a strength.
It's vulnerable in its own way, yeah, of course.
And last year, that tango free, not her, but she's giving you more dimension.
More cultural appropriation, obviously. I remember all those Spanish people were upset. No, I'm just kidding.
They weren't upset by it at all. They, in fact, seem to love when people embrace their culture, just like the Japanese did with Evgenia. But anyway,
what I will say, sorry, I keep interrupting you, but the announcer, unfortunately, really got her name wrong and kept calling her Satoko. And that was unfortunate.
Yes, I was thinking, like, she's been around for a long time. Look, we were at Mid-Atlantics and they couldn't pronounce Kanirum, and they were the A-list highlighters of weekend of the event. So they maybe learned their names? I don't know. Anyway, we mess up people's names. It's hard. You've got a lot of people doing a lot of things, and you never know what someone's background is. That's why PJ Kwong is the announcer to the Stars. She definitely works on those names. We appreciate it. Okay, so anyway.
What did you think of Yang Yu?
Okay, so I just wanted to say Satoko is going to be very well-rounded, and when she joins like the Mawasada Tour of Champions, I think that she will be very well positioned to have a very versatile, well-rounded Sandra Bezic career. Yu Young, I get confused about which we're going first. The jumps are so strong, especially in the free. The triple axel, it's still on like a shallow curve entry, but the rotation is so good that you know that with enough tweaks, she's going to get it. And she's going to get it consistent in time. I think it probably needs a little bit more of a curve on an entry. That's my non-expert, non-Tomsy opinion, that it looks a little flat. But that everything else that she's doing is so strong. She was able to go out in altitude. Obviously, she trains Colorado Springs. Go out there and really slay it. And you could kind of see where this is now her second competition. And you see why we do these early competitions, because as much as no one wants to go out when they're early and not in ideal, perhaps, peak shape, she's someone that...
She's already stepped up the game.
Yeah, last week, Eunsoo looked rough, right? And I think that when you're a skater, if you've had any sort of an injury or setback or time off or move over the summer, it's really easy to get behind. And then it always shows up. It seems like you can never catch up in skating. You can only plow forward. And if you get behind, you may be screwed for almost the whole season. So, the Grand Prix will probably be difficult for Eunsoo. Not going to be her, because it's so much about confidence, momentum, and Yu Chen Lu Chen, she is here, very well trained, ready to go for this season. I think her artistry has improved. It's not great, but she hits all the accents on the music. She hits that big Kerrigan spiral right on the swell of the crescendo of the music, and she's hitting her jumps, and she's going to have a successful season.
It's an interesting thing because she maintained such tremendous speed during the first ballad portion of the program. And it almost seemed too fast for it. And then all of a sudden they start the Buenos Aires section, which is so much more lively, and that's where they understandably decided to put the footwork, but inevitably the footwork actually slowed her down a bit. Yeah. So it almost seemed that she was accelerating during the slow portions of the music, and then going a bit slower in the more upbeat sections of the music. But she was, I think she's also building confidence because she performed a little bit more here than she did previously.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that will continue to rev up with her confidence too. So.
Yeah, and then I do think that the music choice, it would have been better to pick one ballad instead of two. Right? There's just so much to do in Evita. There's so much to cover that I think with any musical or any movie, you can't capture it all. You have to just pick a couple, make a story out of it.
And they do that thing, Dave, where it doesn't end on the tonic.
Yeah.
It's it stops mid-musical sentence, and it's oh, I guess it's done. Instead of jumping out of your seat because it's come to a frenzied finale, but it was.
I was very impressed with Amber Glenn. I know that we've been not as impressed as Tara and John. Tara is always super on Team Amber. I will say that I thought that there was more of a mental steadiness the last...
Well, for the fact that two programs were pretty even keel for her was a big step forward.
Yeah,
because we've seen her do one or the other.
And I think we obviously saw a decent outing in Detroit. Obviously had a successful champs camp to get assignments, and then coming here and doing well again. This is a skater who's building for the season. Obviously is doing well, and if she can keep on this path and keep delivering good performances, I think she can get over the hump in her career, whatever has been holding her back, because she's always been a talented skater, but hasn't been able to get
just
over
to
that hump.
Reduce it to something just on the surface. I'm so intrigued by what she's doing with her tights because I find it actually distracting.
Yes, it's cheap looking.
I know that sometimes the trick is to pull it over to extend the leg to make it look more elegant, but this is not quite doing that. If anything, it almost comes out like she has something strange happening with her ankle, and I think it actually it takes away from the line instead of enhances it.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of differing opinions on that, right? Because obviously we don't know what it looks like without the tights, and I always think that I get distracted by tights. And I always have a bias against showing the tight outside of the boot. I would prefer boots all the way over the tight, which I'm over. I feel like we've been through that journey with Sasha Cohen, and then skaters after it, But I think that it's a classier look to not do it, even though I know that they try to make the leg longer. I just feel like it looks very juniorish, very regional.
It had a regional quality to it, and. Again, she sort of has this Courtney Hicksy kind of vibe with the power and the speed and all this sort of stuff. So it's intriguing to me. I mean, she must resonate more with these sort of emo-y ballads, but they were almost the same one to the other.
Yeah,
and I would have loved
something
a bit more powerhouse.
Kittenplin, who does the packaging, says that the judges want to see something different from the short to the long. And I thought of that because she was talking about the hair, right? But I was thinking about the music is very similar for the short and the long, and perhaps that is one area where it could be changed. But
I would just think as an athlete training those two ballads day in and day out, it's an emotional plateau.
That's why you do the tango short, ballad long, right? Because the Spanish short, because you want a difference, right? That's why Sasha would do Dark Eyes for the short, Romeo and Juliet for the long. It's different. With Amber, it's a little bit of the same for both. However, she may be someone that needs the same for both. What I did see was very good jumps from the legs. She doesn't have the most pristine technique. She's doing a lot of power, and things can get a little shifty. But she has that raw talent and raw athleticism and power. And that if she can harness it and be consistent, I think it'll be really more successful for her.
But the American that excites me most in that second tier right now is my girl Ting.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is one of the most beautiful skaters, I think, in the United States right now. And just the opening of both the short and the free, it's exquisite. The posture is unparalleled, I think, to almost most skaters in the world at the moment. And in general, the jumps were looking a bit more solid, of course, until the free, where when one thing goes wrong, everything until the end then went wrong.
So that has been a problem with her in the past. Her program was done by Catherine Hill, who did those videos in 2014 about the 5 different parts of the body. We've talked about how Ting needs to get in her knees more, so I think Catherine is a really good person for her to work with.
The programs were beautiful. And her
Catherine
was exquisite.
Dating Ben Augusto, and they're working on Cirque du Soleil, the new show together. What a power couple, right?
Okay.
Catherine Hill, I first took notice. She was in the Audrey Wisiger Young Artist Showcase competition, and she did a spiritual number, and then she did something with chairs, and I don't know if it was the spiritual had the chairs. Obsessed. Was it in love with both? Was like, yes, I get this girl. I get her aesthetic. She seems like she was a literature major in college with the I felt like we knew her, and then met her, and yes, it was on the nose, right? Like this is a together person, intelligent. I thought that the program was really well done. Really liked it. I thought working with Catherine was a smart choice.
She looks better than ever, I think.
Yeah. So, Ting, so Ting had a bad ankle injury, couldn't jump flipper lutz for several months. So a little bit behind, and I don't know if that's why the second half of the program got away from her. But
I think it started with the loop, because once she doubled the loop, she got in her head, and then the pop, and then the missed double axel. So I think it was just an unraveling a bit towards the end, but sometimes we've seen her unravel much sooner. So
she
I don't know.
Either
I'm optimistic.
do a good short or a good long, and then the father, who's very involved, will either direct her to work on that program, and we'll see that program will be good for the next competition, but the next one. So obviously they need to work on both programs with equal intensity all the time to get over that.
But they were everything was classy about it. It was just a classy.
She can keep getting
joyful.
These. And she's someone that Vincent used to show doing quads and working in the harness before. So when we see a lot of this stuff with Gracie, there's a lot of the comments that people write are not untrue when they say that they want to see Gracie do full programs. However, I think coming from where Gracie is, the fact that she is playing with a quad lutz shows that she's feeling good about herself. Like when you take a photo on the beach, on the rocks, and you're just like modeling, like you're feeling good, right? Like that's a positive sign. It doesn't mean that you're in a perfect fit, but you're feeling
optimistic.
You're feeling optimistic, and that's what I think is the strength, and that's why I share the Gracie stuff. But we have seen these gimmicks at the same time, acknowledging that I think that Vincent is full of gimmicks and everything. Yeah. But we also saw Gracie coming in on her own on a Saturday to train, so that was positive. I think with Ting, we have seen that she has all the athletic ability, I think, in the world, but it's about harnessing and consistency, and I think that is what is really going to help her, and hopefully they can get that consistency going this year. So, Tom, with all of his charts, Tom Z, we want to see, if you're watching, how many clean shorts and clean longs Ting trains. I don't care about her speed on laps. I don't give a shit about how many triple salchows she did, okay? I want to know how many clean short and longs she does, like 2 programs, 1 short and 1 long clean in the same day, Tom. We want to see that tracked on your spreadsheet for her periodization. None of the other hogwash. Like, I don't want to hear about the myelin fibers. I want to know how many short and longs she did each day in the practice, so we know in competition that she can do these 2 programs and get over it. I don't care about the other. I don't care how she compared to Rachel Flatt on laps, like after the program with the power stroke and the parachute. Like, Right.
Okay, now riddle me this, Dave. How did you watch this? YouTube or NBC Gold?
YouTube, Jonathan, because I was I was away in Hawaii. Okay, people were messaging me, asking me what I thought about novice skaters at this event. I have to tell you, love skating, but with all due respect, I was in Hawaii. We had some very lovely people who give us lovely information, but they were asking me about so many things, and I honestly had to answer, like, semi-honestly and be like,
not a priority at the moment. Yeah.
But I don't know if you read that really beautiful article about Jonathan Van Ness in the New York Times. I was laughing so hard when they were talking about how people kept coming up to him when he was not in a place to want to be encountered by fans, even though I don't know why they did the interview in public then instead of his apartment. Right. But they were saying how he used, like, namaste as, like, basically a polite way to say, like, go fuck away.
Yeah. Get away. Yeah.
Like, no, it's not
thanks,
the time.
No thanks. Yeah.
And I was like, that is so genius. That was so amazing. Like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. So,
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, the only reason
Jonathan, we get a lot of messages where I would like to write namaste.
Namaste. And other than the little emoji. The thing about, not to sound like a curmudgeon-y old person, but the NBC Gold, the thing I pay for, was a nightmare, and I ended up having to go to YouTube and preferred it.
It's always a nightmare on the
replay.
back. On the replay, which is the whole point of why you get one of these things, because a lot of times you can't wake up in the middle of the night if you have a job to do it.
Right. And the thing is, they don't bookmark anything. So now I'm scrolling through to find this specific skater. I get it. It goes 30 seconds. It freezes, and then it shoots me back to the beginning.
That's
and
what
I have
doing at Worlds, and it would take me like 3 or 4 times to get through a program. And at those,
it's a consistent problem. It's like, well, I don't even want it then, because I end up going to YouTube for these things now.
And for some stuff like Worlds, they'll block the Worlds coverage. Then you can't watch it anywhere else, which is so frustrating. But it's like, how do you have the gall to do that when you can't figure out your system? Because we are paying for it, and we do want you to succeed, but if you can't figure out your thing...
Yeah, this has got to be an easy fix, you guys. Like,
I mean, maybe not the easiest fix, because I think they would have had it
they would have
figured
done
out.
it already, yeah.
Yeah, but...
I don't know.
Anyway, Ting, lovely. Let's talk about the men. Vincent Zhou also has had a shoulder issue, I think, in the latter half of the summer. I don't know if that impacted him here. It looked like maybe with lack of complete training that bad habits were coming back with some of the under rotations, although I don't know his shoulder not being in his body. But what I will say, and the long program, the jumps were a disaster, and seemed like he got lost in the air on on the axle combination. But Lori did the free skate. I don't know exactly what the music is. However, absolutely loved the free skate. This is the best choreography I think that he has had. His work with Lori and Mie Hamada, I saw that he had better flow than usual and actual choreography that was classy, that was interesting, and that was appropriate for the music. And I was intrigued with, I thought that I know you're not going to like it because I can tell by the face, and I know that the music
trying to think about it.
The music edit was quite jarring before the step sequence. However, it went into a really cool place, and he was doing like inside bower kind of work and doing some cool things. He still has rounded, hunched shoulders that are killing the overall effect in the line. And
you know what? And we're going to talk about this with a couple other people.
He doesn't have the emotion in the face, and he's always
fulcrum for him is up here instead of at his hips.
Yeah.
And some of the skaters that I was kind of aware of when they were moving from their hip to move forward or backwards, or where someone like Vincent pulls forward from like the sternum almost.
He has like a little bit of like a lazy free leg and a lazy shoulder situation, which probably helps him get up in the air a little bit. The fact that he's and works with the Mie Hamada, like really jumping from the edge kind of technique. But he needs to work on the posture and the attack and the cleanliness of stuff, because when it gets a little sloppy, you can see the under rotations with him, especially like on the Lutz or on the Sal and stuff like that.
Well, but even when you see in the short program, there are those opening, like reaching lungy sorts of things. He's just unbalanced and kind of wobbly, just standing there.
Yes, he is, Jonathan, and I was trying to give him a compliment amidst the disastrous of the program. But yes, Jonathan, he is sloppy with the upper body and flopping over, but the program is so much better, and the flow is so much better because he was really piss poor for a while. And it's because he got to a certain level, and when boys grow, and actually any skaters grow, the skating skills, if you don't keep working on them, they don't survive the growth spurt, and then like you're too tall for your skating ability, and like it doesn't all catch up. And if you don't consistently work on everything, there tends to be a disconnect. And they clearly just like pounded the jumps with this kid after a certain point, and they let the skating skills stay at one spot to where he probably was a very decent skater as a kid, and then didn't work on developing that further, and then he grew and the whole thing. Anyway, I thought that the music put him on another level, but I think it's going to be really hard for him. Thank goodness he's only doing the one semester with Brown, because I just don't think that he's someone where this is going to there just seem to be 99 problems, right? Like we have the under-rotation
See, and
problem.
it's interesting. I mean, you are looking at different things, like when you were talking about these inside bowers and stuff like that. For me, I wrote Lori, ! Because I don't know, it was...
Jonathan.
I thought something about the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon hid better. I thought it masked
that
better.
program had nothing. I thought it was a snooze. I thought it was... I felt that if you want to pretend because it was of his culture and that, it's beautiful, it's someone doing their own... But I thought that the actual music and program didn't have it the way that this showed more of a skater.
Masked it. And maybe this then just exposes where, almost in that Evgenia way, like when she went and tried a different kind of program, it sort of revealed more weakness than maybe... I don't know.
I had more interest in his program. I had zero interest in his program last season. I thought that this actually...
I'm going to go back and watch it again, Dave. And it could also have been the delivery of it, because he clearly had the wind taken out of his sails.
You can only mask it for so long before you have to actually work on the problems. And I think that Mie Hamada is someone that works on that every day, and Lori certainly is pushing... I was going to give Lori an award this weekend. I don't... look.
Oh, okay.
She might have gotten... Maybe she didn't get the fancy Jonathan Byer clay to mold with from Lincoln Center. Maybe she got the Crayola clay and is trying to make something beautiful out of it. Okay?
She's doing the best she can, okay?
She's doing the best she can with what she is given, and that's what you pay her for, okay? She is... Yeah. Not everyone comes to her on the same level, Jonathan Byer, okay?
It's true.
We are working him, and they need to consistently work with him all the time, and... Yeah. There are so many cooks in that kitchen, and there's a lot going on there. And he seems like an interesting personality too. That maybe isn't one to like really let go with choreography. He seems like a real thinker, and maybe that gets in his way. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. It'd be fascinating to like really get in deep on like why he has the issues that he does. So it'd be interesting to like learn. But he is also very talented, and I thought that this program stretched him more. I thought it was more mature and a little bit more sensitive than in the past, and hopefully he can rise to the occasion and develop it. So,
you know who I think probably comes away from this weekend looking better is Jason Brown, because I was a little nervous for Jason coming into this because I thought Tomoki, if he made the right kind of splash, could have knocked him right out of some contention. But unfortunately, Tomoki really kind of missed the mark here.
But this is not unusual for Tomoki. And that's a problem with Tomoki, right? But Tomoki has not really been one, consistently, who has started the season super strong. And it's hard to move forward and change perception of you if you don't come out willing to go in the beginning. And he's been one where it's taken him a while to get going each year and to do well. And that's going to hurt him. Especially you go into nationals, because nationals is so judged based on how you did earlier in the season. Their skating is full of followers, especially in the U.S. That's why if you give a different opinion about a jump or something and someone reacts, it's like high drama, right? Like it's a bunch of group thinkers with like real fragile egos. However, I think that Tomoki is someone with a lot of talent. I still worry for Jason. He had to pull out of Germany. He had to pull out a Nepela. Oberstdorf. Yeah. Because, he had the car accident and perhaps concussion symptoms. And not his fault, right? However, he also had boot problems, I think, earlier in the summer. Unfortunately, with Jason, it just seems like every year it's something, and it's bad luck, and it's injuries, and, not being anatomical structure, whatever. But I think it's really hard for Jason to move past a certain point, right? And you remember when Phil Hirsch would always write those articles about, like, yeah, it was great that Adam and Jeremy and Jason just did, like, beautiful short program to wear the quads. And that while it gets annoying to read those things, he has a point. Because the U.S. men weren't being competitive. And they weren't stepping forward to be as well-rounded. And with Jason, it's just like the same story every year. We hear he's working on the quad, then we see then it's like under-rotated, then it's this, so the axles aren't quite... We know he's going to have a stunning free skate. We know that he's probably going to give us up through axle, maybe one clean axle, second one a little bit dicey, and he give a very emotional performance, all the points on the choreographic sequence and the step sequence, good spins, but is he really going to push Tomoki? I think it's in Tomoki's hands. I think that if Tomoki wants it, he can outskate him
I
at
think
the
so too, but I
Nationals.
think the material, unfortunately, but him doing Petrushka, which is like, it's a puppet show kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's cartoonish, juniorish, childish music. Not in childish as in it's not good, childish as in it's carefree and whimsical. And when he had a more cinematic thing, there was more gravitas and importance to the skating. And this kind of brought out maybe a juvenile part of the skating, which is entertaining and charming, but maybe not as competitive when he's really gunning for a spot here.
But if he does his jobs, do you think that he can slay it and throw it down and push Jason into the pewter?
If he gets, I mean, with a double sow and a fall on the triple toe and the wonky
It
triple
should have
axe,
happened to Jason
you know?
much sooner, right? Jason last year did not have a great showing with that free skate. Great short program, really struggled in the free.
Well, third in the world in the short, yeah.
But at some point, it will catch up. At
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah.
He has survived. I think he is a good performer in the fact that he can go out and do to a certain level what he's been training, and I don't, who knows what last year what the training was like and why the free had problems, but I think he will go and deliver a good performance at nationals that is emotional. I think Tomoki has the ability to outjump him and then has to make the program work, whether he goes back to the old program but I think that Tomoki can do the quads and could deliver. I think it's just going to take a couple of months. Also, the whole, Colorado Christy Crawl, a school of... How many times have we seen those skaters just, not deliver full programs in the second half? And some were saying that it's, the way that her lessons are structured, that they'll focus so much on the technique and not focus on, the run-throughs as much. But it's been a consistent problem where her skaters have some of the most beautiful technique in theory, and then you sort of see it go sloppy in the second half because they're
In
exhausted.
action, yeah.
So...
Yeah. But it's totally different in context, I would assume. And, there was a lot, especially when we get to the pairs, dear Lord, that we're aware of early in the season and we're aware of altitude. But, of course, these people are training at altitude.
So many of them
people
do.
like him. Yeah, so you're like, well, I feel like you should have been more prepared for this kind of scenario. But
Also, I think we should say that Kathy Casey passed away quite young. I don't know how public it was, but I believe had dementia for several years. I think Janet Champion was taking care of her quite a bit. So
I used to love those sweater posts. Remember you did those funky things. I remember her back in the day with Nicole and Scott and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And she was the one that told Frank, right? She was like, that Michelle girl? Who do you have? That Michelle one? She's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think Mary Scottfold too, the two of them. Yeah, they were... obviously, she was a real jump technician, worked with Tom Z. A lot of skaters worked with her. So, and then really kind of pioneered the seminar game too after a while. So, moving along. So Vincent Krasnozhan, again, I think kind of...
More of the same.
Let's talk about the pair event, because...
Oh, well, we got to talk at least about the first two guys. I thought KG, he had an ability... Well, let's see. He was in danger of just falling in the mix. And I thought him doing that version of Hip Hip Chin Chin gave him a lot of presence and X factor that I didn't know he could do. And I thought it was a brilliant choice for him. And he did it admirably. It was not, totally show like we might have seen from other skaters, but it was much more than I knew he was capable of. And I thought that was great. And then, also, he has just such beautiful posture and deportment that he's always nice to see for me. But,
I prefer to watch him to Keiji in general.
Especially in the free. Keiji's free was more like a small incremental improvement that I might have expected this season, but the short was sort of a big improvement that I was not expecting. So that was nice.
All right. So the pair event here, obviously, remember, they have reduced the number of senior Bs that have pairs because it's a kind of struggling discipline in some ways, although then we get to the Worlds and there have been more pairs, but on the senior B teams that are ready this earlier in the season, and very interesting, I would love to talk to Marina Zueva about this, because on paper, Ashley Kane should not have won this event. However, Ashley Kane and Tim tend to be prepared, and God kind of tends to shine luck down upon them, because on paper they should not have won this event, especially when you think about they had a really long season last year. She got married, went on a honeymoon. has had a lot of events happen in life. They should have been behind this season. You would expect, and we would be like, oh, you know.
Understandably
the Grand
so,
Prix, yeah.
Yeah.
They came here prepared, trained, didn't set the rink on fire with their performances, right?
Right.
I didn't like connect perhaps with their free, but I thought that they were trained and showed up ready to go. And the Russians were such a flippin' mess here. And I kept thinking, you know how...
After they were so great at the Russian test skate.
Yeah,
they were
but
really, I thought, really good.
There's something really off with them and their communication with each other. They always seem to have tension. There's like always kind of murmurs about if he's the hothead or whatever. But like she was having problems here.
She deflated in front of our eyes. And she was pissed. Oh my God.
Oh my God, the body language in the kiss and cry, which, by the way, if I flew all the way to Salt Lake City, had to skate at altitude, and then didn't perform well, I would feel the same way. So, like, I don't grudge.
And this wasn't a moment. These were botched lifts, botched death spirals.
The death spiral exit, like, come on. Yeah. They were just, like, not present and not, like Ting, not regrouping from a mistake. Like, not fighting it back.
And in particular, I mean... I'd have to relook at the death spiral, but this to me was very clear. She turned off.
Yeah, perhaps the confidence.
Sometimes they take turns. She just totally went away, and they should have run away with this.
Right, and I think it has to be frustrating for Marina because she's used to training her teams and having them
deliver.
Like she trains people hard, but I think she hasn't had as much success with pairs. And remember. She got so much of the attention with Gordiev and Grinkov, but there was that guy there in Lillehammer, even though we never actually saw him in some of the shots. And perhaps, who knows how that just worked on the live feed. But she got so much of the credit for it. And, you know, her husband is a pair guy, but he had more success when some of the pair elements were easier. Like, just facts, right? So, and they don't have a real technician that they're comfortable with them, so they're making...
But this doesn't seem like a technical problem.
No, Jonathan, this is all psychological. This is all...
They create such more of the same pictures. But that you could tell because everything was just a little off in the energy. In the short program, they were so wildly off of the music at the end of that. And then in the free, even before they started, they were so fidgety. Each one individually was constantly... futzing around and not quite finding their position, and you knew the energy was unsettled.
I thought the costumes were terrible. Hers especially.
And in the Bolero, he was so formal and she was more modern. You would have thought Marina would have done that better.
I just thought that the packaging, again, was really rough for her, especially in the free. They didn't look like future world champions to me when they skated out there in the look, right? Like, I didn't... Like, their actual skating... The lines and all, but then the spell always comes crashing
in the athletic wear in the Russian test skate. It was more effective. Like when they came out and did that, you thought like, oh well, if that's not a statement, I don't know what is. And then to turn around and have the opposite statement given, it was very perplexing. Again, for Marina also, I'm sure.
I'll be very curious how Marina moves forward with them because obviously they have a long history of
this.
Yes. And I believe that it has to do everything with the way that they work together and the way that they communicate, right? Because they're both very talented. They both have the look. They both have the athleticism. They both have so many gifts, but they lack in the presentation and the consistency. And it seems like there's something in the relationship. And then you have to look at the coaches. See how many different people have tried to work with them and given up. Even Trankov was like, peace. Nina Mosier was like, peace, working with junior Delilah teams all over the U.S., which is great for the money and a nice break, but also for someone that's so high level, also probably kind of boring.
Unfulfilling.
If you're just consulting and not really doing real concrete work, right? Like, and not like running camps every month or something like that. Right. So I imagine that it's indicative that there's something really off.
Because it was right when she got off the ice and Marina was just... And that was what I wanted to hear before they got to the kiss and cry. Yeah.
You know she's just saying everything that is just... That you already know.
Yeah.
And that you just do not even, but you have to go through it. You know that is going to be a rough plane ride back and then a rough week at the rink to get ready for the next events, but they have it coming. And I'm sure that they peaked mentally and emotionally for going to Russia and having to go to that test gate with all those people.
It was a big moment. They did exceptionally well there, I thought.
And they might have let down enough expecting the win, but they should not have, because they also had Peng and Jin, and even though Peng and Jin do side-by-side doubles, they have a way of often rising to the occasion as of late, where they've done well enough. Their overall skating is so stunning.
I love their programs.
The free program is so amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
And you can see, again, they looked totally deflated while they were skating it here. It looked very much like a first approximation, but you could see the build that's right in that program, how this could be an absolutely epic moment.
Is this a Laurie program too? It reminded me of a $10,000 Laurie Nickel program that was worth every cent. Okay?
Yeah.
It was stunning. It was interesting.
The potential is there to be a huge moment for them.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It was to die for. Elements were not.
Right.
And that's why Ashley and Tim, you have to give Ashley and Tim credit to just, they walk right through a lot of doors, Jonathan. Like, they have a lot of ISU points where maybe they won a senior B where the field wasn't as, you can't do that unless you show up prepared. And other people don't, and it will frustrate the hell out of your competitors.
Now, she did seem very affected by the altitude. I thought she was going to Tim Delensky all over the place at the end of the programs, but I mean, they did it, and she had a tough time with the loop again. And this is one that comes
and goes. More of the same.
Yeah, I know that's their thing because it's.
Why doesn't she do a toe? I don't. I know that she's tried to do the Lutz loop. I don't know. I'd be curious, why don't they do a toe? She was a single skater. Maybe it's just not her good jump, but he used to do a toe.
But the loop's been given her some funky times.
I don't know
but
if
maybe
they
just think it's more points.
Yeah, but you have to, at a certain point, they're often under rotate, the side-by-side jump's not super effective.
The twist is better.
Now, do you so they do the same free program music as Alexa I like Alexa and Chris's program better. I just think that the choreography is more interesting. I like the look better, but I trust Ashley and Tim more to deliver at this point.
Yes, I agree.
Except maybe the side-by-side jumps. I'm not sure, but at the same, it'll be close. It'll be close. Ashley and Tim are younger. I'll put it that way. But
yeah,
I think that Alexa and Chris, with more seasoning, might do better by the time they get to Worlds, but I think
Alexa and Chris are the better team, but I think Ashley and Tim might outskate them.
Yes. Yeah. Especially at Nationals. I think at Worlds it could go the other way. But I think US national politics seems to be shining down on Caitlin Duke's side of it. They're playing the game well.
And they're making steady improvements instead of kind of floundering.
Yes. And they're playing that game.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And Tara and Danny,
well,
this is certainly not the outing they wanted to make.
How long do you give them in Colorado?
The thing is, I don't know how long I gave Danny with Tara, but maybe they just get so numb to a situation, they just keep hanging out. I mean, these programs were lowest common denominator-y compared to, I thought, especially the Shaylin short that I liked so much previously, but that they didn't end up using. This Les Mis, it was just...
It's gym music for them, right? It's a gym. You go to Colorado to do another gym program of war horses. Interesting is that we had heard from other skaters that they actually used to put that last lift down at Nationals all the time in practice, and that's something that they didn't usually do in competition with Jim. However, he would often take out transitions and basically dumb down the program so that they would go clean at the moment. But we often saw them withdraw from competitions because of her health. Her health, I think that she had knee or some sort of, I don't know if it was knee or some sort of injury over the summer. So I think they lost some time, especially around the Skate Detroit time. I think they were just getting back up to speed. But
she had a heavy energy when she was skating. That has nothing to do with, size or anything. I'm saying she had a lethargic, defeatist quality in her body. I know, we've talked about, I don't know that she assists enough in lifts or throws and those sorts of things, but really just in general, she seemed it was as if she was very ill and had to do it or something.
Well, I'm sure they didn't.
Very off about the energy.
So that's my take here, is that with Jim, I think Jim has a soft spot for Tara and Danny, especially. But especially for Tara, I think he's got a real soft spot. Something about that personality. He designed her costume for the free, apparently. Anyway, so you know she's keeping one foot in that door in case she needs to go back to Florida at any moment.
Okay.
Because this is what I thought is interesting here, is that we would hear from Jim every flippin' year, like the Jason Brown quad, that Tara and Danny were working on those side-by-side toes. And people at the rink would be like, okay. And you knew that they were going to do those double axels again, with the hop and the whole deal. So you know Delilah is pushing them to make the necessary improvements, the way that Aliona was trying to push Alexa and Chris out of their comfort zone and did too much too soon, and that exploded. But with this, you know Delilah's trying to push them to get to be where they would need to be to win nationals in like a real year. That's not like someone just, you know, walking through an open door. They probably don't like to compete early, don't like to compete at altitude. She probably
even though
doesn't.
they train at altitude.
I know, but probably doesn't want to do that side-by-side triple toe. You know, like, comfortable with that double axel, probably wants to switch it back.
David, looks like she didn't want to do the program. Like, her standing next to Danny, who we know I, like, love the way he moves on the ice, but it was so fully open and extended, and his arms were strong and complete, and she would be, like, almost we use the term marking. I don't know if that applies here. Like, physically just, like, kind of half-assing.
Yes.
All the same moves next to her, or next to him.
I don't think she wanted to compete, okay? Like,
yeah, that's what it looked like, yeah.
I think she likes to compete between, like, December and March, okay? And the rest of the year, she's not so into it, okay? Like, she gets herself ready for those nationals programs, for that gym nationals moment. And I think that that's how they've been trained, and that's how they've delivered over the last several seasons. I don't see big improvements. I thought like subtle things. I thought maybe we're a little stronger, or like looking at it from different lens because you're looking at them with like fresh eyes. But overall, the throw Sal seemed as funky as ever. The Lutz, I didn't think was rotated.
The twist was, I mean, for at least in Colorado, you thought that would get sorted, but it really wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think maybe it takes two to tango on that twist. I also don't. His hair, like, he shaved off the head, but then has the beard. It's like a weird look. He doesn't look like joyous. I don't know. There's something with his like.
There's a bit Black Swan going on. Yeah,
the whole complexion and like the whole. I don't know. He doesn't look pleased, right? Like just the energy here was off for me. If they wound up back in Florida, I would not be stunned, but I would think it would be like after nationals. That's like. But maybe not. Who knows? But I think that they're kicking the can down the road again. Kind of tough. And we'll have to see what Delilah pulls out of her bag. Because I did notice that her junior pair won a silver medal. Kate Finster and Balas Nagy.
Great speed. I thought they were so
they
fast.
Probably got a lot of attention over the summer. And her mother is playing the game with Delilah like no other.
Well, that's
her mom organized the hats. And the other sibling was going to have a John Coughlin tribute. So you know she is like working Delilah like a fiddle. And good for her because they look to me, looking at them, I was like, oh, they have the big Delilah twist.
Yeah.
They look like they have a lot of what Delilah is good at, right? Like Delilah's good at a lot of the pair basics. And then she gets to a point and you're like, all right, that needs to be fixed. And usually they just replace the girl at a certain point. But I'm like, the girl, she's a little tall. Kate Finster, but she's a pretty good jumper-ish. Like, it's a little wonky, but they just need, like, a better jump coach that works with Delilah.
But it seems a tackleable issue.
Ish. If Delilah can play with others in the sandbox, and they can get a good
well, that's what I mean.
And,
like, her jumping seems like something that could improve.
TJ being listed as part of the coaching team, a bit strange, but... I don't know if he has a partner yet. Whatever. They're just... Delilah's working him. Like, all these people are operators, Jonathan. And you could... Transparent from space. Okay? But I was like, Interesting, though, what I was going to say about that is that she had them doing side-by-side triple sows at their first Junior Grand Prix in Lake Placid, and then let them water it down and go double flip Euler combo here. to get the medal. So she may be willing to let Tara and Danny go back to the toe, but was maybe trying to make a point. So
Right.
I'll be curious to see, like, we'll be following this as they go towards nationals and what is happening here. Because those are some big personalities that are
Yeah.
at war. And they're not honeymooning this year anymore. So this will
Right.
be
Yeah.
very interesting to see what the heck happens. And let's talk about the ice dance. To me, it starts and ends with Madison, Chock, and Evan Bates.
Sure does.
For years, Jenny and I often talked about, and I don't think we used always the right words, but we talked about just like the sexy energy of Madison Chock.
Oh, yeah, that showgirl energy. Yeah.
That's the better term, is showgirl energy. She's a show pony. Because Marie-France basically got this girl, and while she doesn't have the best power, skating skills, edges of all time, she has charisma. And somehow Igor would give them the biggest schlock of all time with Les Miserables, American in Paris. Like, you were like, wait, you
didn't
have
utilize that projection.
such a showgirl, and you don't know what to do with her, and then you have Marie-France, and she's like, Elvis. And whoa, okay. This year, the Too Darn Hot from Kiss Me Kate with the Anne Margaret dress.
And I'll tell you what, Dave, this is the first musical theater selection we've heard in the rhythm dance thus far, and we've not obviously seen everybody yet, but it nails the pattern. When they increase the speed and they are going with the pattern, it looks like they were designed to be together.
And they have the same music as another team, right? But it was fantastic.
But the way they do it, it was so...
You forget.
It takes the Sinitsina and Katsalapov sort of idea, and to me delivered it even better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. They don't have the greatest power and edges. I know the Hubble and Donahue parents are always getting mad if we don't say that they're brilliant, even though we have been such Hubble and Donahue fans overall, but they are such sensitive flowers and always getting mad at us, even though we really love their skating, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? When someone has a bad year, they lash out at everyone. So anyone that's going to give you the best, they're not going to want to hear this. But they should be very worried about Chock and Bates, because now that this team is packaged better than they were with Igor, and they're not skating to Imagine for a free dance, and they have an interesting free dance that I'm like,
well,
whoa.
Everyone erupted over this one too.
She is like part 17 ethnicities. She can do whatever the heck. Oh, so Meryl Davis, are we getting mad about the Bollywood Jonathan? Yeah. Again, it was not offensive.
It's the attention. And I will say that
they clearly studied belly dance. They clearly did it. They did interesting shapes. They spent time on it. It wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
It looked amazing.
Some of it was a little bit more trite than others, but a lot of it was like that Bharatanatyam, like infused kind of stuff that was real. That's real. And if you think that looks silly, then you're saying that the actual moves are silly, but they're not. I don't know.
Did anyone complain about it whose opinion you actually respect or look for?
What a nice perspective, Dave. That is correct. I mean,
was it no? No, I don't know. I didn't read any of the comments about this, so I honestly don't know who said what.
I mean, and I was reading some people defending it that were making very eloquent points.
Don't even read it, Jonathan.
I know. I don't know why I read all this trash.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
They looked charismatic. Right. This is what ice dance...
A little clumsy still because it's a first pancake, you know what I mean? But I could see how this can grow. Again, it was unlike what everyone else is doing.
I do see a slight improvement to their power. It is nowhere on the same stratosphere as Hubble and Donahue power and flow. Nowhere near that. However, is it good enough? Because we've heard since the Lady Gaga program has been picked, we haven't seen it, but people have not loved that free dance edit, those who have seen it, and I'm very curious to see it, because I think it could work for them. But this seems like, did Marie-France and Patch just connect with that? Like, I know Lynn Rutherford really feels that there's a similarity between Chock and Bates and Dubray and Lazan, which I don't know. Like, to me, I'm like, maybe, I'm like, have to think. I have to marinate on that more because I think of them doing like at last, and I don't think about like Chock doing that. But I'm like, maybe there's something that I'm. But whatever.
But what they have to do is think outside of the box a little bit more, maybe. And so we're getting such interesting shapes and unique lift positions.
I
and
thought
different
all the lifts were different, unexpected. I didn't know what was going to happen in the program, and I liked that because I think so many times when we see people, we see the same thing again and again and again. I thought they looked
this part. Yeah, exactly.
obviously more trained than last year, and they have some more flow to their overall skating. They've always had good patterns. They always got good points from that, even when we would be like, the speed.
Yeah.
And it's only gotten a little bit better, but I do see some improvement in the flow, and I wonder, is it because they're in the different training with the different, slightly more British technique? Is that starting to pay off? Or is it the fact that she had an injury to her foot for a while, that they had surgery and she was off the ice for? Is it everything? Is it just, we're just seeing things because we like the program? Who knows, but whatever it is, it's working for me. And I was like, already, so we talked about how there are about 6 teams that are in the conversation. I would put them, Piper and Paul here, Chock and Bates here.
Yeah.
Not even looking at the scores, right? Like I'm like, right. Material-wise, they took the ones that got the better programs this year that did it. Now, we still have not seen Stepanov and Bukin, where they're going to fit, but I'm like, I think that Nikita has the politics on his side, but I'm like, I like Chock and Bates' programs more. I don't expect Chock and Bates to beat the Russians with the politic game and the fact that... I
think Chock and Bates' rhythm dance is superior to the Russians' rhythm dance, but I could see judges going for the Russian free dance more. But
they've had enough of the North American teams medaling and winning. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of pull. Or Europe will, even though Europe has the French, they'll get the Russians too. Just don't, please. Right. Europe loves to win a nice dance. So, and you know that Russia tends to be its own continent. It tends to be like Europe, Russia, North America. That's kind of how dance works. But I would be nervous if I were Hubble and Donahue. I would be very concerned because they look like there's been a lot of time put into them. You know when on Dance Moms, the moms yell when Abby spends more minutes with Maddie than she does with Chloe or Nia? It looks like they spent more minutes on this program, perhaps, than we've seen on other of the programs. Certainly more than on that Greece program, and I would say that this is warranted, that they're giving you more.
Right.
And they're perhaps coming with more energy and effort to the table. But this looks to me like a winner. Yeah. If they can skate enough. Look, they already... We talked about luck being on your side. They were not supposed to win 4 continents. It should have been Hubble and Donahue's. That lift did travel across the ice, and they walked through an open door that they would not have if not for errors, but they did it. And it happened for them last year, and it could happen for them again. I think U.S. Nationals...
If the material isn't right. Yeah.
Especially if they're consistent. How many times have we seen Hubble and Donahue be head cases?
Right.
How many times?
Well, although to me that wasn't their issue last season as much as it was just the material in general.
It was both. They made errors last year. Did they ever get the levels on the pattern and stuff like that?
Right.
That's why the parents don't love us, because we point out the obvious. Anyway. I really don't. Anyway. Jonathan, take what you need and leave the rest. Okay?
Yeah, and you know what I need? Dmitri Aliev in my life.
You just love a boy that needs a shower and a shave and a haircut. Like, you love that.
It's not an aesthetic
How many depressive boys have you dated? Okay.
Oh my god. How much time do you have?
Moody, wearing like a Pink Floyd or the Clash t-shirt, listen to the Misfits, right? Yeah.
No. I mean, just the way that oh my god, the way he just moves his arms. Again, I don't think the material is a slam dunk this year, but I did see him like start to sell more. And the quad Lutz triple toe in the short and the quad toe in the short. The one thing I will say about him is I think that I would anticipate his spins would be better than they are. Because the spins, sort of, he's giving up some points that he made.
He tends to be a little loosey-goosey, a little bit.
Yeah.
ADD, some other stuff.
Right. A free spirit.
Free spirit. Could work a little bit more on the Kolyada elongation and energy. But I'm kind of impressed. Maybe I see myself in Matteo Rizzo, but I am like, okay, here's a boy that's consistent.
Great material.
But needs to push the technical content. We even saw him shift it around from last week to this week, water it down a little bit to be more successful. He's going for, obviously, the quads this year, and they're not quite there. But he's going for it. And I think that he needs to. I think he needs to kind of decide what kind of skater he wants to be. I think last week I made a mistake. I think he just went to the cricket club for the summer and is not a permanent fixture there. Okay. We don't have the Ice Network to confirm all of this anymore. Where's Lynn, right? So anyway, Matteo Rizzo, I love the turtleneck.
I know it had this great kind of 70s quality to it in a way of like old classic skating that I really enjoyed. I think his material is great for him this year.
Yeah, he needs to get a little bit... When he goes into that quad loop and it looks like he's going at half speed for someone that has such great edges, it looks like he's afraid of it and knows he's going to under-rotate it and two-foot it. And is like trying not to go with too much energy and force because he doesn't want to sit it down. But then you're never going to get the clean rotation. So I think the toe is more within his grasp at this point. I'll be curious to see maybe they do two toes and get rid of this loop that it seems like we're faking. To be polite.
Yeah.
Like if you're new in a relationship and you're like being polite. I don't know. But I think that it was, I think that they could, I think that he needs to go obviously for more quads to be successful and to be more competitive. He's never going to have like Hanyu or Nathan Chen content, but he's someone that could win in Europeans, especially now that Javi is retired, so they need to play the Europeans, right?
He could be in there, especially if he stays consistent, you know?
I like his skating very much. Better than Aliev. Better.
Oh, great. Well, for me, it was just two, and they're like friends, which I like.
That sound of silence is so like drones on, and I feel like we've seen it. Jonathan.
Well, we have. Yeah, I'm not saying that this content, I preferred his content, even though it was kind of
I liked Aliev's better last year. I liked his content better.
Yeah.
I do like Aliev. I just feel like this year, it seems like the sound of silence, like drones on. Like, didn't we already see
but he was talking about, even in those interviews that we read on FS Gossips and stuff, that the material didn't come to him very easily this year. Like, they struggled with figuring out what direction to go. So we'll see what happens.
It's really hard to find a moody singer-songwriter. They're just like... Really...
I mean, when in doubt. Yeah, he must have asked Amber Glenn what he should take to. He was like, just do 2 ballads. It's no problem.
Take what you need and leave the rest, Jonathan.
That's right. That's right. And Vasiliev, he did a pretty okay job there. He knocked Samarin off the podium, and he did a lovely skate. But it's just kind of stuck in an era that I don't think will ever be truly relevant, maybe until he ups the content. So,
all right, let's go to Trusova, because this is why those dance moms are always getting upset. Because you give the one special part to Kendall, and then you take it away, or you give the same special part to Maddie. So then that's not a special part for Kendall anymore.
Special. It's not as special.
Why?
Are you talking about the costume change?
Yes. If you have it for Anna Sherbakova, and that's her special part, why would you give it to someone else? Because now it's not special for either, and now we're like, ugh. It's officially...
But it looks like a knockoff. When Sherbakova does it, it is a moment with the music, and it just like transcends. It's like
let's not act like it was some beautiful moment, but it's a cool gimmick. It's a cool
moment, and Trusova's is not a cool moment.
Yeah,
Trusova's bent in half. It doesn't go with the music. She's ripping open something versus it kind of happening.
And it's unnecessary. Like, I don't...
Yeah. It doesn't add, and it's not quite obvious enough, actually. You're like, wait, did that change, I guess?
And there's, like, nothing inherently artistic. I think that the Game of Thrones, like, power music works for her in the free. Look, she did 3 quads. It was amazing. They were good. She had 1 error on the Lutz combo where she opened up. She's not infallible. But I have to say that overall, I think that it's her time. I think it's her year to win the Worlds. I think that it's her year to win everything. And we'll have to see after that. That Daniel Lee who commissions this, it was like, she's going to win the Olympics. And I'm like, slow your roll. We've got 2 years, a growth spurt, 70 other Russians, and a lot can happen, right? Yeah. She could break a leg, like...
Valieva could suddenly be...
That doctor from Germany could retire. I mean, like, a lot could happen.
Never know.
Right? You never know. Okay.
Now, what I will say about the Nepela Trophy here, that it was very difficult for me because the ice was riddled with advertisements, and it was so distracting for me.
The Nepela and the Lombardia, the camera's never good, especially at Nepela. It's always like cloudy. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Not my
But
favorite
it was
event.
the actual ice surface was covered with stuff, and it was so distracting from some of the pictures she was trying to make. I have to say, I agree with you that
Where does the Nepela trophy take place? Is it?
I think it's in the Czech Republic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Well, I think he's a Czech. He was a
17
Czech,
people have just answered this question, and you know what it is? It's in the country of skating on YouTube. Okay, take what you need and leave the rest. Okay.
In one of our Patreon episodes,
yeah.
we judged someone, and Nepela was sitting in the kiss and cry.
Oh, very nice. Oh yeah, that's true. We did.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who or what, so that's a helpful tip.
But how come we never watch like anything on him? We never get a montage. We never get like a...
Oh, where's Megan Duhamel doing the ISU Instagram stories where she gives us the history of him?
Yeah, the ISU never does like a whole thing. Okay, we memorialize him every year. And we spend about as much. It's about as sincere as Memorial Day, where people are like pass the booze and pass like the hot dogs,
pass the white pants because it's time.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. Let's go to Macy's for the 1-day sale. Okay. I would like a little bit of a tribute. Okay, like a 90-minute Dick Button video on Ondrej.
Yes. Now that's a tribute. Okay.
Ty visited him. She went to the whole.
I saw that. Yeah.
Ty was in town. I wasn't. Oh man. We love Mama Ty. Yeah, so the rest of the ladies...
Wait. Ring. Hello. Hi, it's Kaori Sakamoto's program because it, for some reason, inexplicably starts with a telephone.
Jonathan, she's having a tough start to the season.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to say something that I didn't expect I would say, and it's that she was a very entertaining skate for me amidst the flaws. In both programs, she's creating a mood, and I think they're deciding to go a direction with her artistically that is the right direction. I think that that's a smart direction for her. It's kind of this clubby, energetic, throw your body weight around, kind of make it happen sort of thing that is less, let's see, it suits her better than her trying to do something more lyrical, I think. I kind of like the angle they're taking with her this season. I'm not saying that that's my favorite style. I think if you're given Kaori and you want to make the most effective display for her, I think they've done that in a way. Talk it out, Dave. Talk it out.
Well, I think that's your opinion, and you have the right to have it.
And leave the rest. Okay. But she captures a mood.
I prefer to watch her jumping and when she smiles.
I mean,
because I think she's a charming
she
girl.
Does have a joy that doesn't come through in these. This is a moodier, kind of funkier energy.
I kind of liked watching her skate to the piano and missing the blade and the catchfoot spiral. That's what I like about her. And laughing at her own mistake. Like, that's what's endearing about her.
Okay. Something a little more carefree, perhaps. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll get there. I'm a woman and I can change my mind. I don't.
Okay,
really.
You're a progressive lady who's ready to just see where it goes. I mean, I just think it gave her more of a physical vocabulary that seemed more natural and less forced to me.
My favorite Italian giraffe was here, Lana. You know we love her. So.
That's right.
Yes. Otherwise I was. Korea is getting stronger and stronger, more competitors by the day. I'll say that the depth is increasing, leaps and bounds. Nitsin Katsalapov, strong performance here, winning, obviously. But I want to talk to you about Poland, my country. Let's talk about Alysa Liu. So, not a perfect outing here. A bit of a...
Oh, I was like, she's not Polish. Oh, no, I see what you're saying. We've switched to the event taking place in Poland.
Bit of a mental, like, what? When she did the double loop in the short, and it cost her. But I thought it was... You never want to make mistakes, but I thought that it was promising that she did make mistakes at the point in the season when she's probably a little tired, because remember, she did 2 events back-to-back, hasn't had a chance to come down because she's still training,
and did come out with the triple axel, triple toe.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't...
Not the best long of her career.
Not the best, because she landed at almost a standstill, but she did it. I mean, and...
Wonky as anything.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the one in the free, that triple axel, double toe, I didn't even know what the heck was happening there, but...
Wonky. Yeah. But... making a case for herself, thinking on her feet, being mentally steady will help her when she goes against the Russians, because you know Valieva has already said that she's coming for her and wants to compete against her. And I don't think that Alysa's going to shy down. I think that Valieva obviously has the advantage in the components, but I think Alysa mentally, the technique is a little wonky. Like, it's a little like around the corner on the axle and stuff, but she's a tough girl. She's tough, and she wants to compete, and you could tell they still have a lot of work to do, and I don't think she needs to win this year. I don't think she will probably win the final, although mentally she may deliver a good performance. But I don't know that.
Yeah, they'll keep her down in PCS. I mean, you just, even here, her win was...
She'll keep herself down in PCS.
A very low ranking. Yeah.
I don't think her PCS are at the same level. I don't want it to sound like we're saying there's a conspiracy when it gets translated. I think she's going to deliver to a certain point, and then it's going to be like anyone's game. I think Valieva has some more GOE on certain things, on certain spins and stuff like that. But I think that Alysa is a cool competitor, and that's promising to see as we move forward. Because...
Yeah, because after that kind of triple axel double toe, for her to turn around and do the quad lutz, you were like, okay. I mean, that is... It could have easily... She could have tinged it, and she didn't. And so... I thought that was
thinking
really
on her
great.
feet, and she's a tough customer, and I like that.
Yeah, and I thought the way they did the step sequence in the short, and the way they packaged the free, I think they're doing the best they can with what they have in front of it. I think this was a very smart way to put her forward for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about the other medalists? What'd you make of them?
Well, okay, there's the Japanese girl who was second in the short and then tanked in the long.
Mm-hmm.
And her skating skills are unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. But I don't know if she was one that just, it's that self-doubt thing that she lets herself get way too close to the barrier before she jumps. I mean, she did a beautiful triple lutz and then had to single the toe because she almost Midori Ito'd her way out of the ring. It was tough to see because she's so lovely, but... And Vasilyeva, she has a very engaging energy to me. She has a great, sharp focus. And I liked her step sequence. And she's the one, I always say she coaches with the Russian Priscilla Hill. It's the woman that looks like the Russian version of Priscilla Hill. But she's just got black hair instead of like a thing. And Tarankanova with that like pirate outfit for House of the Rising Sun. I mean, she does get tremendous height on her jumps, which is very exciting to see, but the landings are often shakier with wobbly ankles, kind of shaky ankles sometimes. But she does get tremendous height, and it was sad because, she was really, I think, hoping to win and make the final, but it just wasn't happening for her.
Yeah.
So.
In the men's, Daniil Samsonov delivered.
Who we love, or yes. I love anyway, yeah.
And I do like that Yuma Kageyama a lot with his technique and his overall skating skills. Really impressive to watch, especially in a weekend where you have so much skating that seems a little...
And it was interesting, like in singing, we always say something where you don't necessarily want to notice the technique. Mm. You want it to be sort of seamless. He has a very clear arm entrance for a lot of his stuff. Like if you look at the free skate especially, I started... Like before the quad toe I wrote, his arms are so deliberate and he does it for several of them and it almost takes you out for a second, but it seems to be working for him. So I don't know that but he creates some beautiful pictures and opening poses in the short especially, and the steps into, his step up in the triple axel in the short program was amazing.
Yeah.
But Samsonov, I mean, I just adore. The jumps were light. Lovely. His illusion spins. I mean, the positions he creates there are so clean when I think so many people don't. Everything was just easy and nice. And the step sequence in the free skate was quite passionate. He has strength in his gestures. Great spinner. I love his camel spin.
I never should have put that Rain in Your Black Eyes on my yoga playlist because I loved it when we heard it last year again, and then now everyone is using it, and I'm like, I'm over it, but it's my own fault.
It's too much. Yeah, it has a delayed, yeah. It's skating, so it'll happen later. But
I didn't bother putting anything Josh Groban on my list. Don't worry, 'cause we knew.
And plus,
we already knew that would be enough.
His heart, Ted Barton. Is that his name? Ted Barton?
Ted.
Yeah. Suddenly that sounded wrong to me. I will say he's changed his kind of commentary strategy.
He's taken a couple notes, yeah.
And I'm enjoying it because I think he does have insightful things to say, but he keeps saying pair two instead of pair te for the Josh
Well, John, you could write him a note. You could be like,
Could you imagine?
Ted, I would like to be that opera singer and let you know it's
Yeah.
And how about my junior dance team, Jonathan? Okay, they
Oh
are.
my gosh, they are on fire. Also, just a little side note about Daniel Grassel.
You love him, yes.
Yeah, well, do we? I mean,
Jonathan, he's charming, but the skating skills need so much work right now. He and Matteo each need what each other have.
Sparkly, it's sparkly blood gushing out of bullet holes on his white blouse. I think that was the.
It was a choice.
It was definitely a choice. Okay, but your dance team.
My dance team.
Oh, the world's dance team. They're really, really exceptional. Mm-hmm. Right?
We adopted them first. I adopted them first.
Yeah, okay. They're incredible. The speed, the way they match in their twizzles already. I just think, and she's got a bit of Madison Chock in her.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she knows how to.
She's the quintessential Igor.
Yeah, I think.
She's got a little Naomi. She's got a little Jamie Silverstein. She's got a little Madison Chock, all rolled into one. She's got a little Tanith. So
I think it's going to be a pretty tough team to beat. I think big things are coming for them. And I know we touched briefly on the...
They are getting all of, like, the Igor musical choices, like, already. That worries me a little bit. But he's grooming them well. So,
yes, I think so, too. Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
You love to do this. Especially, Jonathan, I'm jet-lagged.
I know.
We crammed
are
to
they
get
going
ready.
But they're competing junior nationals. They're not going to compete
I confirmed
senior.
that with Igor. They are competing junior
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
Because the judges
were
those stupid USFS judges went with regular They didn't put them first last year, which was such a mistake. So, which was ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
They should all be embarrassed.
Yeah, but they won't be. They
always,
Yeah.
These people.
And I really do love the Russian pair, the Russian junior pair that won here. And they were only ahead of the Americans by, 3,000 points or something like that. But their twist is enormous. The jumps are enormous. I think they would probably be a shoo-in for that Grand Prix final win.
Yeah.
So
I think that they are certainly on track to do that. So, yeah, it was an interesting week. I think as we move along, we are going to do a separate recap on Battle of the Blades and get into all of that Canadianness. And then there will be a separate recap on the gymnastics that is going on as we move.
Oh, Dave, that Riley girl pulled out. I read that and I was like, I know what they're talking about. Yeah.
I know, but she has some like bad overtraining injury that like can affect your scalp. I hadn't heard of it before, and I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. But it's okay because I had already come to terms with, though I loved her, that it wasn't going to happen. So I already had a funeral for her elite career in my mind earlier in the summer after we saw the way that the Pan Ams and the Nationals went. And I was
were prepared emotionally.
I was like, it's not going to happen for this girl. And I sometimes feel like when people watch one sport instead of two, they don't see the trends as they're happening. And then they get too... We can just dismiss now and detach. And I'm like, it's not happening for her. We had a funeral for her career. We're like, it's not happening. She'll be a beautiful NCAA gymnast. If she does make it to the Olympics, it'll be one of those Kim Zemaskal sob stories. No, it'll be one of those tragic. She misses up and it doesn't happen and we cry about it and we have all the feelings. And she has a nice college career, marries an attractive man and, becomes...
you thought this through.
She becomes like a preschool teacher or a gymnastics coach. This is the way it's going to go. Okay. I'm just letting you know, like, this is...
You see it now. Okay.
See it now. She doesn't come across like a scholar. Like, this is the way...
Okay.
We've seen this before, okay?
We certainly have.
They all go to college for 4 years and become coaches, okay?
Yeah.
After they major in recreation management and... criminal justice.
Basket weaving.
But, basket weaving. And Kathy Johnson's like, and they're getting their education. Yes.
They're getting a degree. They are.
They do learn how to work the social media and get the followers. It's very important so that they can...
Communications degree. Yeah.
Now, okay.
No, I'm being serious. Yeah, like if they know how to do all that, yeah.
But, yes.
They're real communicators.
So what do you want to know about Hawaii, Jonathan? I'll let you ask.
Oh, yeah. So, well, I don't know how you could spend that much time in such close proximity with that many people for that long.
You know that I roomed with 4 other people in my
That's
one
a lot.
room.
That's a lot. Because even though you're like very social and very talkative, I would feel
I'm an introverted extrovert, right? Have you read those articles where it's like,
I need to reboot alone?
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
I like people, but in spurts.
When you're ready for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of yoga. I went on this retreat. I've always wanted to go on a yoga retreat. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. My friend from college had an open spot. I did it on a whim because I was like, it's like everything is like aligning that I should do it. I have no excuse not to. I should take a risk and do it. And I've always wanted to do it. Go. I asked my mom if I should do it. She said no. Save your money. I'm like, I'll do it. Okay.
Surefire sign. You gotta do it. Yeah. Okay.
Glad I did it. I will say, Jonathan, this kind of yoga is a little bit more woo-woo than I'm used to. All right?
Okay. In a way that you fought, or in a way you kind of went with it in that moment? Sometimes if you drink the Kool-Aid, sometimes you can actually like get a little bit more out of it than if you fight it, right?
I went with everything enough to make it through a week of...
You took what you liked and left the rest. Okay.
But like, they do more meditating. My friend did this thing where she went to Guatemala and brought back... She used to be super type A in college, like where I was intimidated by her type A-ness.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. She's like recovering from her eating disorder, posts about it. Like, we're talking like real wild. And she, like, so you drink cacao. I've drank it twice now, and they talk about the beautiful plant and the female farmers that took the beautiful, because like there's a second teacher that's from Brazil, and she has all of like the affect when she speaks and exaggerates everything. And I was the only guy, but like Jonathan had drank cacao twice, nothing happened to me. I didn't have any emotions. Of course, we're like sitting around in an opening circle. And like the teacher just starts bawling, like as if the cacao like brought out this emotion in her. And I'm still like trying to read the room. Like there are like 9 people I don't know that I'm like holding hands with. I don't know who these people are.
So you were holding a bit. Okay.
But they say that that's normal for the first couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was more than most because I'm like, this is a little woo-woo for me.
You have to convince me. Yeah, okay.
And like, I really made it my own and had a very good time. Like, I do more actual poses and movement and maybe harder poses than they do here, but I worked a lot on my flexibility on my own time and like worked on my body a bit because I can get tight quads and everything like that. So I really like worked on that in my free time. And we did a lot of Zumba, which I got into throughout the week because they were like some Golden Girl ladies on these trips, and 2 of them became my favorite. They were 2 sisters, and
amazing.
One actually didn't do yoga, and she has this problem. She has a lot of health problems, and like she was swelling. And I said to her, I'm like, oh, like, you know, do you think you were allergic to something we ate? Because we were eating like a lot of like Hawaiian fruits and vegetarian thing. And her sister goes, do you think she looks allergic to food? And I was like. She's never been allergic to food. I was like,
wow, yeah.
And then I was showing one, like, online shopping. I was showing her, like, what the gay brands look like and and she was like, you don't need to look that gay. The sister goes. But this was the one who was with the swelling. So they were a lot of fun. We had and towards the end of the trip, because we were with, you know, the crying vegetarians for the whole week, I was, like, to the point where it was unclear if they didn't want to go to the luau because they didn't want to spend the money. Because remember, this is a work trip for them. It's vacation for us, but they're working, right? They're on a workation. Or did they not want to go to the luau because they're vegetarian and the pig? But I think it was like more like they didn't want to like the money and the whole deal. But to me, it's like I flew my ass to Hawaii. I want to see a man in straw with visible abdominal muscles, and I
Right.
want to see a girl with coconut bazumbas shaking it, okay? Like
Doing the
Madison
luau,
Chock doing the luau.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say there was a moment that I thought was a little bit inappropriate when they were doing the Japanese dance to non-Japanese fan music during the luau, but everything else was beautiful.
Kosher.
And then I was like, the way that they worded things about how everyone arrived in Hawaii, I was like, is that all accurate? Like, what? Did they come willingly? Like,
Right.
I had questions, okay? But
Yeah.
apparently they're like,
There's a whole sort of history there, yeah.
But I was like, we are going to the luau. So, like, subtly, we were on a boat the night before. We were away from the teachers. And I was like, don't you think we should go to that luau? And the other women were like, oh, yeah. So we had enough people that we were like,
We're doing it.
we're doing it. I don't care. You know?
You willed it so. You put it in the universe and it happened. Yeah, okay.
We went. And it was worth it. Okay?
Yeah, that's an experience
It
you're
was
supposed to
like-
have when you're there.
It was like every Satoko Schindler's List thing. Like, I felt a little weird about the luau. Because, like...
I have to say, having done one, like, I would never do it again.
Right.
If I was
You
there,
do
I
it
would
once, right?
Yeah.
Like, but you need that experience. I would have killed that pig myself. Okay, by the end of the week of eating all lentils, I
Okay.
would have killed that pig myself. Okay?
Okay. You were ready.
I
There's
was
some
ready.
real protein up in there.
We had a lot of crying. We meditated about our inner childs. Oh my God, the best when that Tina Turner meditation came on that I was telling you
You
about.
sent that to me, and you know, I mean, Tina
Jonathan.
Turner has many talents. I don't know that a soothing voice is one of them.
Jonathan.
Like when she was like talking to you.
It's an 11-minute mantra meditation. It starts out with like Om Shanti Shanti, and it was on Friday, so we're already a week in, right? Like we're really reaching the end of the program. And Tina Turner is like, we don't know it's Tina at first, right? It's just like token yoga music that we're like in Shavasana, like getting, for the day and getting set. And then and these are people that like do the essential oils and stuff. And it's like, she starts talking about, all of a sudden you hear this voice come on. It sounds like a smoker, like husky. In the beginning, we all rely on the affection and attention from others, from our mother. Get in touch with the mother within you, the man and the woman, right? And it was like this, like,
And then she bursts into Proud Mary.
no, she burst into Amazing Grace at the end of it. But like,
Oh my God.
But like Jonathan, like people were bawling. There were mothers there that were like really like feeling.
See, and
this.
I would be too distracted. I'd like open my eye and be like, "Is that Tina Turner?" Like,
I was like, this is a lot, and I'm seeing a Sandra Bezic group number with like Renee Roca and Marie France like coming through.
all wearing legs pantyhose because that was Tina Turner brand.
I'm like, we could have like a solstice on the ice come up and like have like the French come through, maybe Lambiel and like Satoko and Yukasato and Katya could be like the mother.
The Earth Mother. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
like I was like feeling this.
Okay.
So the last day, Aleda is the woman that had like the swelling, right? And I said, well, we're not doing yoga tomorrow. What are we doing at this closing circle? And she goes, and like at this point, we've all held it in, like our little like comments about like the different things, because it's been like a lot of woo woo, right? Like it's been a lot. Like I love yoga people, but there's a bullshit science art to this, right?
Yeah.
Like, that we feel like they're playing a part as much as it's genuine. Like we're like, what part this is acting, and what part are you setting a mood? And we've spread the essential oils and raised the vibration and owned forever. Like there was a lot of that going on. Okay. So I said, Aleda, what are we doing at tomorrow's closing circle? And she goes, we're gonna hold hands and talk about the fucking universe. And I was like, incredible.
And was she wrong? No, she was totally right.
Jonathan, not only was there that, the woman from Brazil whipped out the tarot cards.
I am into that. I'm into that.
As she said that she always takes the same card from the deck. Always love. She's from a long lineage of mediums, healers, and teachers. And I was like, yeah. And everything they would be like, it's beautiful. Oh, Poppy, it's beautiful. yes, the rain is beautiful today. And you're like, that just ruined my beach moment. Right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
But everything was like,
it over. My hair is frizzy. Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I have been plugged up. And if you tell me that that's beautiful, I will slap you. Okay? Like,
What card did she pull for that?
Burden. Okay.
Okay. Amazing.
It was a fabulous time. But anyway, it was just, yes. We jumped in waterfalls. We taught some of the girls how to pose. They didn't know, so they needed to.
Yeah, you took some fun photos. It looked like a fun group. And like Hawaii is just majestic. Like, it's so amazing.
But I have to say, there were some people that were like shading Oahu because it has the city, and they're like, it's like Newark, but on an island. The water in Oahu, I thought was nicer than the water in Kauai. Like, it looked more of the white sandy beach variety when I was flying.
That you were looking for, yeah, okay.
I would go back to go to another island, but no.
I spent a lot of time on Maui and liked it.
People say Maui is like Miami Beach, like they kind of shade it like that.
Well, it depends where you are. The Four Seasons used to have villas out there in like a secluded area. Or
that silver spoon just came flying out of your mouth again, Jack.
But like there are like less populated areas like that you could go to. But then when I sang there, it was in Honolulu, and Honolulu did very much just have. To say a Miami vibe is not the right idea, but it was so much more touristy and city-esque. But anywhere there is amazing.
But Kauai is like real sticks, right? Like, it's the Garden Island, but it could have been a little more touristy because I was getting stressed that I couldn't find a suitable gift to bring my mother, right? To bring Debbie.
Macadamia nuts.
I did bring her like 2 kinds of coffee. I got her a shirt that she would like because, you know, it was all going to be too low cut or whatever. So I did find her like, I have 2 myself here. I did get her like one shirt that I was like, okay, like she'll like this, like
okay,
it's
yeah,
like
that's
nice.
Very Debbie.
Yeah, like
okay.
I was getting stressed, but you know where I found it? At the Marriott gift shop that I was at the first day. I went back on the last day.
Because they know what people are looking for that in that kind of situation.
Every other place I went to, it was like crappy, trashy stuff, and it was like worse than a boardwalk. It was like. It made me
like a casino.
I went back to that cultural man, the big corporation. But I was like, well, they have the nice resort. So
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
May the light within me honor and respect and love the light within you. May you hold an edge and look sexy, and not get too offended by skating programs on the Twitter. Namaste. Hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.